Hi guys, and welcome back to my knitting nook where absolutely no knitting takes place because I only crochet. Thanks for joining me last week. I got a great review from friends and family that they really enjoyed I guess my channel and hearing about the things that I wanted to share and things that I enjoy. I've got a lot of questions from people basically asking me why I don't have an Etsy shop and why don't I sell what I make, and really this is my hobby, and I feel like selling things would make it, I'd have deadlines, I'd have pressure and commitment, and this is just my hobby, and it's my escape from reality, so I don't know, I feel like that would just suck all the fun and joy out of it. I don't know. But really, if you see something you like, certainly feel free to message me, reach out. This is just yarn from Michael's, so you can either pick a color, or I can make a duplicate, or I can find other yarn if you have a specific thing. But I make no promises as when you'll get it. I'm currently working on a blanket for my dad. I think it's like 2 years in the making. It's a giant blanket. I don't make blankets in a timely manner at all. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. But anyway, so I know I've got a couple people that want some things, so I've actually got to make a Michael's run later today. Because I ran out of yarn. Go figure. At least the yarn I'm using. So really in my finished object section of today will be my hat, as you can see behind me. Let me kind of scoot over there. So the green one here is the most recent addition to my little hat family. So I know the lighting is not the best, but here in the back is like a turquoisey teal kind of color. Then I have this, it's actually kind of a cranberry maroon going on here. This is kind of like a goldenrod. I don't know, maybe goldenrod's not a good color. It's definitely golden of some sort. Fall, pumpkin-y, burnt umber kind of esque color. I'm not really sure. And then my green. These four here are all, I think, from the same type of yarn. This one here in the back, this is more of a tweed. Mom sometimes finds yarn at the Goodwill, and if it looks like it's in decent condition and everything, she'll pick it up for me. So that's a kind of a wheaten color with tweedy pops of color in it. The others are more of a heathered color, because I wanted to... Solids can be boring to me sometimes, but they're better for showing off the patterns and the stitching, so going with the heathered allowed some variety but allowed the stitches to pop. So that's where I'm at, and of course pom-poms, yeah, all the pom-poms. So that's where I'm at, and then I got thinking, so this is the Wanderlust beanie, available, I think I found it on Ravelry. But then it also came with a suggestion for a scarf that would match it, but I've done so many scarves, and I don't ever really wear them because they always fall off, and so I kept scrolling down the page, and it had a infinity scarf option, so it's just basically a scarf attached to both ends, so it's a big giant circle. And usually what that entails is a giant foundation chain, which was like 230 stitches. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't know. No, it's too many. And with a chain, it's monotonous, and when you go to join it in the round, it's hard not to twist it up. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was like, oh boy, I really want it, but I don't really want to do that. So then I remembered, through the glory of all things Google and YouTube, that there is something called a chainless foundation stitch, where you basically both make your chain and your first row of stitches all in the same go, so you make progress and it's not as small and tedious. But my first thing on this pattern was to do a half double crochet, and I'm like, well, surely this must exist, right? So I did find that, and so I over 2 days of monotonously working on this, was able to make my 228 stitches. And then I'm like halfway, well, I'm more than halfway. I'm like in the last couple of stitches, and I'm like, I don't know if you can join this type of join in the round. Should have done some more research. But fear not, YouTube struck again, and you can actually join this in the round, and I was able to successfully last night to do that. So what I've done is I've taken some leftover of this green and started the matching infinity scarf. So bear with me a second, it's here on the floor. Warning everybody, I'm not worried about editing and whatnot. I mean, I appreciate the people that do put the time into editing out the, basically life that happens, but I actually enjoy the times where people like have to grab something from the desk or pick up something from the floor. Life happens, and I kind of feel like I'm when I'm watching people, like I'm talking to a friend, and so you don't edit life as you chat, so I'm totally fine with that. So what I have here is the beginning of it. So as you can see, it is a big giant circle, and those are just stitch markers that just showing some key things for me. So I work it in the round, and so the idea is you'd be able to do this, and then it's going to be bulky like a scarf, but then you don't have to worry about it flopping open or anything. So that's where I'm at there. And so far it's working nicely. I don't know if you can, let's see which one's the front, which one's the back. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So it's already, I did the base row here, so half double crochet, and then it was a single crochet, and now I'm doing the front post, back post to get that kind of ribbed look. I don't know, you can't really see it here because there's not much going on right yet. I'm still very much in the baby stage there. So really, that's what I've got to run to Michael's for, because this is all I have left. So it's just sitting here on the floor. So if I'm going to toy with this, seeing if this is something I want to do, I'm going to have to go get more yarn. So that's where I'm at. But then I got to thinking, so if people actually enjoy this, and I'm enjoying this so far, I don't have much content. I pretty much do the same thing, and my Instagram feed is pretty much just hats lately, and I don't know, many people want to see that all the time. So I'm like, well, I don't really have, and I'm not the quickest crocheter, so I was like, okay, well, I don't have much content to upload, and I don't have much stack acquisitions that often. So I'm like, what type of things can I show people? And I got to thinking, well, I could talk about the YouTube people that I follow, and talk about how I got, how I found them, why I followed them, the things I learned from them, I guess. I don't know. It's quite a yarn community out there, because not everybody, it's hard to find local people that enjoy this kind of thing, and most people think I'm kind of crazy and a 30-something stuck in or an 80-something-year-old lady stuck in a 30-something-year-old body. So people think I'm nuts. I mean, I am, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so I got to thinking, I guess let's talk about how I got into this. And so I can't even remember when I started, back in the late, I don't know, 2008 time frame, I'm guessing. My husband is a big gamer, and so he would game for, forever, and then I would be just annoying in the background with nothing to do. So he's like, you need a hobby. And I had for a long time thought about yarny stuff, but I didn't even know where to begin, if I'd enjoy it, the type of investment. I mean, knitting looked daunting. I mean, coordination, it's not my strong suit. So anyways, I go to the big box store closest to me, which is Michael's, and I pick out a pretty yarn with woodsy colors and whatnot. I didn't know anything about yarn. I didn't know that, too big, too thick. Yeah, I knew nothing. but I knew I didn't know how to knit or crochet or anything. So I'm like, well, what does a beginner do? And so I was like, okay, so loom knitting looks like it's a good thing. So I just got those circular looms that you can get at any box store. And so this is an example. So it's, you know, see how it's got the pegs on it. So you can work it in the round, or if you just go around and around, or if you work back and forth, you can make a flat panel. Well, anyways, that's where I started, and I found a YouTuber. At the time, her name was, or channel name was PamLoomer, PamLoomer, because she loomed. And so I just followed her tutorials. And so my first yarny project was this little slouchy beanie here. And as you can see with the loom, the way it knits up, it'll roll back on itself. So it's a rolled hem. And so that was my first project, and it was thrilling. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. So then I was like, okay, well, what is a bigger project option? Actually, I think I made a couple more hats and gave them to friends and family. Actually, just family. I was too afraid to give it to anybody else. So, like I was saying, you can work it in a flat panel. So I made a matching scarf. And you can see how it rolls as well. The edges roll up. So then I was like, okay, so maybe I can figure out what I'm doing. So I'm like, okay, knitting or crochet. So I kept watching videos, and I was like, the whole two needles versus one hook. Going with one hook is my next step up. So who did I go with next? Oh, yes. So my next person that I decided to follow was bethintx. And so it's just bethintx on YouTube, bethintx. And she had what worked for me. So there's a buku tutorials out there, but things that you look for is, it's weird how often voice plays into what you enjoy watching, like the voice and inflection and everything, and also just how fast they go, their zoom in, the way they talk, how they present the material. There's just all sorts of things. So you've got to just go through and see what works for you. And she worked for me. So, bear with me, it's actually on the bed. So she suggested starting with this project. It was just a scarf, another scarf, but it allowed you to, she did like single crochet, then half double crochet, then double crochet. It's like a sampler thing. So stupidly again, I go out and buy this variegated multicolored yarn, so it's harder to see stitches and it's dark, but I didn't know. So which end did I start with? Let me see here. Is it obvious? I don't even know anymore. But so it's this scarf here, and as you can see, it is wonky as all get out. Like, look at this. It's wider. It flares out like an elephant foot or something. That's because I didn't understand my turning chains and everything. That's when I went out and got the stitch markers, which is more for knitting and everything. And so when I found a knitting group, they're like, why are you using stitch markers on your crochet? It's because I couldn't remember what was my turning chain and what I was working into, and thus I got these wonky projects, and have mercy. But bethintx was amazing, and I actually used her for the longest time, her videos. For some reason, I went off the deep end and I leapt from scarves and hats straight to Afghans. And so she had these Granny Ripple Afghans, and I fell in love with them, and that's what I did first. I think I've made 4 or 5 Granny Ripple Afghans following her tutorials over the years, and they're amazing. And then what's weird is I was having they're worked across, and so it takes a long time to see projects or progress in your project. And she then had these baby blankets. The friends started having babies, family members started having babies, so I needed a go-to baby blanket pattern. So she had this corner-to-corner lapgan, so just a lap blanket that I could, you know, put my own color schemes to, and so it worked corner to corner. So it started out as a triangle and then came back. So for me, it made it look like you were making more progress. You had more in your lap. It's the same amount of time, but it's all a mind game, and I like seeing progress. So she is my go-to. I have actually done, like, my husband showed me how to do some video editing, so I would like save the video into like this video editing thing, so I could like minutely save it by the second and zoom in to see the stitches. So she was amazing for me. So I go back, I've actually got videos saved so that even if I'm somewhere and I'm offline, I can remember how to get it started. And it's just monotonous knitting. I can do it while watching TV because it's just double crochet and it's amazing. So maybe I'll try and put in pictures here. I make no promises, but maybe I'll do some show notes, I don't know, and show you where my Ravelry page is, my project page, so you can go and see what I'm talking about. We'll see how crafty and crazy I get with this. So I just wanted to pop on and show you that. I guess I wasn't sure how long this would be, so I grabbed only 2 other things. Going back to the loom knitting, after I've been doing the blankets for a while and watching everybody, socks are an amazing thing. Socks are a huge go-to thing for most of the YouTuber people that I watch being knitters. I don't knit, so then I can't make a sock. Well, then I went back to PamLoomer's channel, and there's a small loom, about yay big, that you can make socks out of. Now, they're not going to be tight-fitting socks that you can, because it's big, bulky yarn. It's nothing you can put in your shoes or something. They're slipper socks, basically. And so I started out, and they're well worn, so you can't really see the stitching. But I got these, and I made these slipper socks. And these are just low cuff. Just because I was trying to see if I could do it, and I was playing yarn chicken, I think, at the time. I don't know. So after that, I was like, well, I'm going to try a different bulky yarn and see if I can get a tighter tension. So that's where these came in. And so I wear my normal socks, and then in the winter I get cold, so I then put these on around the house. So hot pink. Look at that. Look at how thick they are. These are just, oh, they're amazing. And you can't really see the color. I mean, because I'm going to have to figure out my lighting if I really get into this, guys. Again, these I know are on my Ravelry page, so I'll link to that with some better pictures. And it shows you how to do the heel increase and decrease and everything. So that's my go-to. If I ever try and do knitting again, I mean, I've tried it a couple of times and it's a no-go. But I digress. So, maybe this will be a thing. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about my idea and going forward, or what type of content you'd want to see, or what you think about my talking about. I've got probably about 20 different YouTuber people. I figure what I can do is maybe do like thank yous. Like, I've never talked to these people that have been a part of my life for several years, and maybe I can be like, hi, and this is how I found you, and I don't know, maybe, and I don't know. So I'm just playing with things, so this is only take number 2, and we'll see how things go. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.